Hello, YouTube. It is September 6th, 2019, and we're back with another Andrew Yang video. We're going to be finally closing out this series within the next two videos. I know I said four more, but honey, I'm just going to give y'all two. I might do a third one. Well, we will do a third one in regards to lumping him in with all the other candidates. So this ain't going to be this far from the last time we mentioned Andrew Yang, although the series is coming to an end exclusive to Andrew Yang. But we will be talking about him in comparison to how his policy stands up with others. I will also give an update on the fourth debates. Y'all know I skipped this one. I did not have 7 hours to look at them dedicate, 40 minutes each to climate change, even though that's a very important subject. Honey, I was not about to break down that video on here, honey. So we'll wait to the fourth one. That, and I was a little bit biased and salty that my girl Marion Williamson didn't make the debate stage. So yeah, that just irritated me anyway. So but needless to say, Andrew Yang did make the third debates. So for the Yang gang, honey, y'all still going strong, honey. Now I'm hoping they get my darn on one of my candidates up in there. Because I still look at Andrew Yang as favorable as well. But y'all know my personal favorite is Marion Williamson, honey. Andrew Yang, he's fighting for the top two spot. So the last video we went over his miscellaneous policies. This video, we're going to go over some of his family and social cohesion policies which he has created. Now, we have already gone over in previous videos the Freedom Dividend, approved the American Scoreboard, American Exchange Program, implement mandatory paid family leave. We went over that as well because I think I recall him mentioning about that being 6 months of family leave time. Early childhood education for all. So we just got to go over these points right here. Well, except for supports for the arts. I remember doing that one as well. So we're going to do quite a skipping over. Reduce harm to children caused by smartphones. Now that's going to be an interesting one. So let's go to the ones where let me see. American Exchange Program. So early childhood, American Mall Act. Let's see what this one's about. That's almost sound like that could have been a miscellaneous policy, but let's get into it. Malls used to be a hub for socialization and commerce in many American communities. They were where families would go shopping for school supplies before grabbing dinner and catching a movie. Teens will have their first jobs working retail there and spend their Friday nights with friends. A local mall was an economic boom. As the e-commerce takes over a larger share of the retail market, many malls are closing down. 300 malls will close in the next 4 years, and hundreds more will struggle. The windows shuttered, the doors locked, and the buildings abandoned. This sends a negative signal that the economy of the area is suffering. It also attracts criminal elements who can squat and vandalize these empty buildings without much interest from the local law enforcement. Okay, very interesting perspective on that. Although I think, with, security cameras being up to date nowadays in 1080p, and most malls are, in a, what's it called when you have a group of stores all in one area? It's not necessarily a cul-de-sac because that's the house equivalent of it, but what's it called? A store complex. So most malls are surrounded by other stores. So I don't see too many squatters in malls because it's like you got so many buildings that can still have cameras and you could pick those people up. But neither here nor there. These giant spaces need to be revitalized in order to spur investment in the local economy and combat the suburban blight associated with the closing of a mall. As president, Andrew Yang plans on sponsoring the American Mall Act, AMA, securing a $6 billion fund to help struggling malls attract businesses, schools, organizations, entrepreneurs, and find new users for the buildings and commercial spaces. I don't see this going over too well for many reasons because in this day and age, competing with the Walmarts, the Targets, the Best Buys. I mean, Best Buy's going out of business, but all these super giants, I don't see it for the mall like that. I really don't. And then why does the mall have to be the one-stop shop where everybody has to congregate together? Because when you talking about funding entrepreneurs, just because people don't have necessarily one-stop shop of a physical location to go to for the exception of Walmart, does not mean that the closing of malls are going to hurt the economy to the point where you need to fund them exclusively. Instead, how about providing grants towards people who are opening up their businesses where they don't need to be in no a mall. You don't need to gather everybody in a mall complex. Like instead of salons in the mall, we now have salon suites that are being built up throughout the United States. We have people selling their hair products and stuff through third party vendors such as Etsy.com, which houses a lot of black owned businesses and minority owned businesses from Asians and Latinas, and also, white people as well. They have all these shea butters and stuff on Etsy. So you have a lot of American citizens who are just doing their own independent ventures as well online. So I don't see the need to necessarily fund the malls as a form of combating that. I mean, and then you got your flea markets as well. Like I mean, if you was going to talk about funding darn on stuff, I would imagine darn on funding the flea markets. Get back to really being humble and funding those startup, mom and pop shops because most of the stuff in the mall were darn on corporate any damn way. I mean, at least our mall was. I mean, our mall had Forever 21. It had Reebok in it. So it's like the most of these malls do not have your honest darn on mom and pop shops like that anyway for you to be talking about saving them. I mean, that would have been better if you were to talk about saving the flea markets that actually have the individual, mom and pop shops that is owned by, middle class citizens versus, Forever 21 is a multi-million dollar conglomerate. So yeah, I can't get with Andrew Yang on this one. Yeah, go back to the board, Andrew. Yang gang, y'all forward this on over to y'all good presidential candidate. So on to the next, on to the next. So going on from that, from the AMA, we're going to go into paid family again. So we got an implement of a paid family leave policy. What's the difference? So America's lack mandated paid family leave is quite frankly stupid. Robust family leave plans have been shown to improve children's health and increase women's employment rates. We're one of only a handful of countries to lack federally mandated family leave policies, and the others are surnamed Papua New Guinea and a few South Pacific Island nations. As President Andrew Yang proposed and fight for a paid family leave policy requiring employees to offer at least 9 months of paid family leave. Okay, I thought it was 6. Distributed between parents however they see fit, or 6 months of paid family leave for a single parent. Huh? Requiring employees to offer at least 9 months paid family leave for a family. Distributed between the parents. So I guess 4.5 each for each parent. Or any combination that they choose, like one can get 7 months, the other one get 2 months, or anything. I wonder how that would be split up between the father and the mother, or just 6 months for single mothers. Okay. I don't see any problem with that. I mean, every other country has it. It shows to be good. I can't really speak on this because I don't have a family of my own. I don't see children for me at least for 10 years, son. We haven't even gone down to the bank to even put in my deposit yet. So, uh, yeah, children is not on the list right now. Shoot, I ain't even gotten to the point of you know, nowhere near coughing up $3,500 to store, you know, the precious gems, honey. So yeah. What to the people who this affects? Tell me how that goes for y'all, honey. But next is prosperity grants. In order to foster investments in the community, the federal government should give each working age American $100 per year to donate to a 501c3. I thought it was always 501c. Yeah, 501. I thought it was 501c, but it's a 501c3 nonprofit that will fund approximately 20 billion to local nonprofits, and it can easily be paid for by reducing the tax credit for itemized donations to a maximum of 22% with a floor of $500 for itemized deductions. As President Andrew Yang directed the IRS to create a prosperity grant program each year, at the beginning of the year, Americans will receive $100 that could only be donated to a 501c3 institution through the same mechanism that they receive the Freedom Dividend Universal Basic Income. Work with Congress to change the tax code to account for the prosperity grants. So we adding an extra $100 to the $1,000 a month. I mean, I'm thinking that I guess, but I'm leaning it. I would think if people were altruistic enough to donate, you have more than enough money, because right now, if the UBI goes through, you would be getting $1,000 guaranteed every month for the rest of your life, or until somebody tried to change it on the Democratic side or the Republican. But at least through Andrew Yang's presidency, you would have $1,000 a month coming to you. So I don't understand why they couldn't, donate the money on their own continents, out of the $1,000 a month if they want to be altruistic. But if you want to try to fund directly by way of encouraging the people, who am I to disagree? What say y'all, honey? I don't know. Now, like I said, I would think if people were going to donate, you know, they will donate off of their own continents instead of having to get a grant and then being forced to choose a 501c. I mean, if you get an extra $12,000 a year, I would think you would come out the $100 out of the 12,000, in my opinion. Just my 2 cents. So I don't really see in this past Congress. It's like this plus the UBI bill. I don't know. I don't see it. So getting out of that, increase assistance for single parents. Being a parent is the toughest job on the planet, even with a partner and strong extended family to rely on. It's even tougher for the 13.6 million single parents out here, most of them mothers. The numbers are set to rise sharply today. 40% of children born in the United States are born to unmarried mothers, up from 15% in 1980. That does not necessarily correlate to single parent households. I want to also note that you have a lot of people who do not, and engage in legal marriages. They engage in, common law marriages, for us Southerners. You also have people who are in polytomy relationships and polygamous relationships that is not recognized by the federal government. So I also want to point out that as well. But there is still a single mother, a significant amount of single mothers nonetheless. We should be doing more to help them in the approximately 21 million children being raised in single parent households. I need this apartment life, honey. Outside of programs such as the Freedom Dividend to raise them out of poverty and support their ability to provide food and housing for their family, the best thing we can do for these parents is to help them find and build a support network. So as President Andrew Yang invests in programs that provide support for single parents, including but not limited to universal basic income. So pretty much reiterating the UBI bill of providing 1K a month for all adults that's 18 and up, or it might be 16 and up. Now, Andrew Yang, I need you to to clarify on who's getting the money, because now you said the lower the voting age down to 16. So if they can vote at 16, they can um they can file taxes, they working, they driving. Don't that mean that the 16-year-old should be getting the universal basic income a month? I'm just saying. Might as well give it to the teenagers as well. Help them stack up for college. So by the time they turn 18, they already got 24K to stack up. And that would actually be a good nest egg to transition people out of their houses. Because the problem that I see with kicking your children out the house at 18, most people who are in low to middle class do not set their children up with a contingency fund. So I'm glad that I caught that, because I want that to be noted as well. A lot of parents do not set their children up with contingency funds, except for the ones who are making over $100,000, and they get the house and stuff for them, or they got property to give to their children for them to live on. But for the regular person making $30,000, $40,000 a year, they didn't darn gonna set their children up with anything. They just kicked them out the house at 18 and expect them to darn gonna be able to survive off of a minimum wage job of $7.25 an hour. And even if they go to school and live on campus once they graduate, honey, you see people like me got degrees. Hell, you got people with master's degrees having to work at McDonald's because nobody's hiring them in their field. And then when you add blackness on top of it, then you got another discriminatory, a deterrent against you working, because then they looking at your name being too ethnic, your hair being too kinky, you're being a little bit too dark skinned. If you are more West African in features than me, if you got a wide nose and full lips and you look fully black, that's another darn gone deterrent for certain people hiring you. All of that people got to face. So yeah, if you're going to lower the voting age down to 16, you might as well give them the UBI bill as well. That way, at least they would have $24,000 set up. And if you want to add a contingency on them since they are not actually 18, you can put a stipulation where they can start getting a pre-UBI bill, where the money can go into an automatic trust where um, by the time they turn 18, they already got, that year and some change stacked up. So they got up to 24, let me say $1,000 a month, $24,000 to work with. That is more than enough money for them to get them a house to rent, or if they even want to go and do a FHA and go on ahead and get their house, they have enough money for a down deposit. They have enough money for a car if they parents did not bless them with a car, because they come from very humble beginnings. $24,000 for children just getting out of high school would be an excellent incentive to encourage them to continue working, because they will already have a nest egg to help them out with. So it's good that you helping out adults that are already 18 and up, but why don't we already set our children who are about to come into the world, let them be set up as well. They shouldn't have to start off with the $1,000 a month. Let them, since you letting them vote at 16, let them have 24,000 saved up in a trust thing, and then it automatically releases to them upon them turning 18. Once again, that will be excellent in reducing homelessness. Um, Also with the LGBTQ community, you got a whole bill talking about you're for pushing anything that's progressive towards LGBT rights. This will also help in those situations where parents automatically kick their LGBT kids out because they don't agree with their lifestyle, their gender, or identity, or anything else. This will be good to help them out and to get them a house until they and pay off the bills for a significant amount of time until they're able to secure a job. Because it's a shame that you have so many gay and trans, bisexual, and lesbian children who are 18, they get kicked out their parents' house, and then you expect for them to automatically be able to get into a house, pay the deposits, and keep themselves afloat just on the very first day of them turning 18. That is a very much of a real life situation that goes on with a lot of LGBT children that turn 18. And I feel if you have them set up where they have $24,000 upon them turning 18, they can darn going gladly leave their bigoted parents' houses. They can get their own house and darn gonna have enough time to set themselves up as far as getting into college. And they don't have to worry about the tuition because all of y'all plan on making the tuition free. So they can go ahead and just focus on, you know, they schooling for the time being. In addition to their other job, which will aid them into, helping them pay their other bills. So I think that would be a good idea as well, since we're talking about universal basic income for adults. Make it so 16-year-olds have a 2-year nest egg, and that will substantially reduce the homeless rates within children who are in that demographic, especially LGBTs who are the most susceptible um, to being kicked out when they turn 18. Other children, for whatever reason, differences with family, for whatever reason, this will help them out as well. So, Andrew Yang, I really want you to take that into consideration. But to go back to the thing, it says mandatory family and mandatory leave for full-time employees, tax breaks for child care services, increased federal funding for pre-K programs, the creation of responsibility sharing networks, allowing single parents to work with each other for child care and other responsibilities, and in allowing these children to socialize with other children. Investments in commutual housing specifically for single parents to be able to pool resources and caregiving, initiate a campaign to assist single mothers in a national recruitment drive for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America for male volunteers to spend time with children of single mothers who would like a positive male role model. The waiting list for little boys looking for a big brother is um, twice as long as the waiting list for little girls. Okay, overall, I agree with that premise. But like I said, what really got me though was thinking about that UBI and thinking about the abundance with the children. It's like, okay, it's good to help out the children when they're young, single mothers and all. But we also want to think about those children who turn 18 and then they find themselves with nowhere to go. They've been cast out, they've been shunned from their family. Children in interracial relationships, and the Mexican or the white, the black parent is not going for that interracial union. Once again, LGBT children, or the child don't want to submit to the Christian faith, or they don't want to submit to the pagan faith. There's plenty of reasons with the church. So that what really got me thinking with this bill instead. Andrew Yang really need to focus on creating a pre-UBI bill if he's going to be serious about this. Once again, if you're going to lower the voting age to 16, I think it's only fair to set the 16-year-olds with a nest egg so they will have a nice comfort zone when they turn 18. That will substantially decrease homelessness in the nation amongst youth. But in addition to that, I love most of what he's saying about, supporting single mothers. So next we got free marriage counseling for all. Children raised in two-parent households have better outcomes across almost every dimension. Students also show that being in a happy marriage contributes to longevity and life satisfaction. However, there is currently very little support out there for people who are looking for assistance in managing their marital relationships. Because of the huge societal goods that comes from keeping married couples who want to stay together in their relationship, marriage counseling for interested couples should be free or heavily subsidized by the government. Yeah. I don't know how that's going to go over. So, as President Andrew Yang includes a family counseling in any healthcare plan that offers throughout the federal government, mandates that the inclusion of family counseling services in any plan sold through the ACA, which stands for the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, marketplaces, subsidizes marriage counseling provided by any credentials provided through the tax codes. I can see him getting some heavy pushback from the darn on psychiatry community because, honey, them darn on bills is not cheap. So it depends on what his darn on idea of affordable is because I'm sure them psychiatrists still want to be compensated they $200 per hour fee. So if the government's going to pick that up, they might not have no issues. But if you're talking about lowering it down to them, thus affecting their livelihood and their income, you might get some pushback from psychiatrists. But overall, I'm in agreement with it. But I can see this being debated and heavily contested by people such as psychiatrists and people who agree with that. So next is modern time banking. So volunteering at local community center, mentoring an at-risk youth, starting a book club, helping your friend recover from drug addiction. Mhm. Y'all, that one struck a personal chord with me, honey. Y'all know about the drug addiction one, honey. Sometimes people can't be saved, but honey, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But for y'all that can keep on pushing the fight with helping out family members with drug addictions, honey, shout out to y'all, honey. But there are many actions that create positive social utilities that are currently uncompensated. Enter modern time banking, volunteered activity, and community engagement would be tracked by an app and seeded initially by the government. After that, the local administrations will oversee the program. You could earn the banking points through volunteering at a local shelter, participating in a town fair, coaching little league, fixing a neighbor's appliance, working with those recovering from opiate addictions, tutoring a local student, and a range of other activities that make your community stronger. Make me stronger, that's a little longer. Mm-mm. I just thought about that song off the top of my head reading that one, honey. Who sings that song stronger? But anyways, carrying on, he goes to say we've seen the power of these award systems to drive behavior through online communities. Free sandwich, punch cards, and special status. Exemplar, yep, elite, Foursquare, mayors, etc. Signing up for an account would allow you to track your running tally along with an unspent total. As noted above, you could offer time banking points to a neighbor for watering your plants or taking your mail in while you're away. But there could also be specific promotions where you could trade in your points for special experiences, such as tickets to a local ball game or meeting with a government or civic leader. Hmm. Okay. So as president, overall, he plans on creating a new time banking app to track points awarded and traded for helping your community and neighbors, empower local communities to find what activities they are like to promote through the use of time banking points, donate all my points to the top earning high school students in each state, set the time banking point prizes for a visit to the White House and meeting with me and or fun civic minded local celebrities. That sounds nice in theory, but I can see that getting heavy pushback by the banks and several other organizations. So I really don't see that one getting passed. Once again, one of those, fluffery bills that sounds good in theory, but I need him to explain how he plans on getting that pushed through the Congress. We already went over support for the art, so we're going to end this off with reduce harm to children caused by smartphones. Okay, so this one is reduce harm to children caused by smartphones. I would think you want to reduce it to everybody, not just limited to children. I mean, so very awkward choice of words. He could have just made that open to everybody. So it's like, well, the children are only one. Now they're more susceptible, especially when you're giving it the phones to the children under 5 years old, which is the critical time where 80% of your brain is starting to develop. 80% of your continence mind is developed by the age of 5 years old. So when you're already starting to fry those dendrites, by the time a kid is 5 years old, that is very problematic for sure. So it's definitely a lot more of a sense of urgency when we're talking about smartphones and um, the toxic frequencies they transmit out that can create tumors and stuff within the brains. That is definitely more heightened with children, especially when we're talking about children under 5. We're talking about those toddlers, and even babies sometimes are on the phone. So yeah, definitely dangerous for them. But we also want to, not be too laissez-faire on, just allowing adults to be succumb to the damages as well. So this should be for everybody, not just the children, but emphasis on the children nonetheless. So he goes on to say somewhere between 2.1 and 2.5 billion humans currently own a smartphone. So about a little over 1/4 of the population of the world. While early models were released as early as 1992, the first iPhone, a good line in the sand for widespread adoption of the technology, was released in 2007. In a little over a decade, these machines have become ubiquitous throughout the world. In the US, and then around 70% of adults have smartphones. What about children? Researchers suggest 22% of young children, 60% of tweens, so I guess that 12-year-olds, and 84% of teenagers currently use a smartphone. While these devices provide unparalleled access to information, their impact on the mind is barely understood. Researchers are just beginning to look at the impact that focusing on a screen all day has on human development, and the conclusions are devastating. There has been an unprecedented surge in depression, anxiety, and suicide, and a marked decrease in social mobility. Teenagers are spending more time worrying about who their online acquaintances like their recent posts than they are within their friends hanging out in person and developing social skills. The average teenager spends Friday nights at home interacting with a machine instead of out with friends at a game or event. Oh, now I don't think that's true now because the children can darn, honey, they still going to the movies now. Now I ain't gonna let you get that one off, Andrew Yang. They just darn gonna gave Cabanya, honey. They just gave darn the Lion King over $500 million at the box office. So you can't say that they're still not going out to the movie theaters. Honey, they still going out to the football game. Take me out to the ball game. And you act like they on the game. Now, if you was talking about this as far as PlayStations and stuff, you would have had a stronger argument because they will stay. I can understand them staying at home if they on the game system, but they can do everything that you're mentioning while still being at the games, while still being out with people. Honey, people are taking their phones with them. If they leave their phone, a lot of people will turn their car around, even if they halfway at work, just to get their phone. So they still going out, but the problem is that screen. What is it doing to them physically, not necessarily mentally? Although mentally it is, you know, very sad that if you got to turn your car around just to get your phone, unless you need it for business purposes or emergencies, such as the school call for your children or whatever have you. But those who have worked within the industry describe the work they've done in stark terms, often relating apps to slot machines. They say that the smartest minds of a generation are spending their time getting teenagers to click on ads and obsess over social media posts to see how many acquaintances respond to react to their posts. In short, many experts are worrying that the widespread adoption of poorly understood technology has destroyed the psyche of a generation. So, as President Andrew Yang plans on to create a department of the attention economy that focuses specifically on smartphones, social media, gaming, and chat apps, and how to responsibly design and use them, including age restrictions and guidelines. Create a. Can I please get through one video, people? Just one. I swear, y'all. I'll be so happy in the moment that I can get through one video without it being a virtual phone call, a phone call from our actual phone, or a knock at the damn door. But we're gonna keep this on topic with the politics. We'll do a darn on personal talk to update y'all on this yet again. It never fails. It never fails. But to get back to my point, if y'all not subscribed to my channel to see what goes on in my personal life that leads to me being frustrated outside of these politic talks, subscribe and stay updated on the personal talk videos. But to keep it back on to the politics, um, it goes to say create a best practices design philosophy for the industry to minimize the antisocial impacts of these technologies on children who are using them. Ask Tristan Harris to lead direct departments to investigate the regulations of certain companies and apps. Many of the see wait, Andrew Yang, you and your constant updates of these apps. I'm tired of him popping up throughout the whole video, cutting off stuff. Many of these companies essentially function at public utilities and news resources. We use to regulate broadcast networks, newspapers, and phone companies. We need to do the same thing to Facebook, Twitter, Snap, and other companies now that they are primary ways people both receive information and communication with each other. Hmm. So many problems with this bill. Let me start off by saying, as far as the age restrictions, they already got those in apps themselves where parents can actually reduce the time on people's phone, can lock them out and everything else. All sorts of parental controls are already at the hands of iPhone and Android users, especially Apple users. You really have in-depth control over your family. If you got a family plan, that head person can actually manually turn off those children's phones after a certain period of time. If the children are using a phone for an excessive period of time, the mother can cut it off at any time that they want, or set a timer to it. So I don't understand creating a whole department for this when you actually have parents who you can just simply encourage to utilize the iPhone and Android features to properly monitor the times that their children are on those phones. I thought he was also going to go into talking about more of the dangers about just being exposed to the electro smog of those phones, with the frequency that is given off by phones, especially with the increase in technology. We're now going into 5G. I'm surprised he didn't mention about, create instead of creating a department for attention economy, you should have added a grant specifically aided in technologies that are funding combating frequencies that are being transmitted to people's brains that are responsible for increasing tumors, increases in dementia, and other forms of cognitive impairments within the neurological system of the brain. So a few things he could have did right there is, commend Apple. Apple has actually taken on a company. Actually, they funded a independent company by the name of Hilo, and this is Hilo right here. This is the home-based business opportunity where you can sell wristbands. These wristbands come with a variety of features that you can do. I mean, you can check your EKG around the clock, monitor your steps and everything else. It's almost like a Fitbit, but a Fitbit on steroids. They like to quote because they got the geranium stones that naturally reduces your stress levels. It also aids in calibrating your glucose levels. Why this is checking your glucose levels, but it also comes equipped with the Biozen as well. Now the Biozen, which they supposed to had a phone coming out. I never heard about the phone, but their phone was going to be equipped with Biozen, and that's their hot selling item that actually reduces electro smog within electronics. So if you click on the Biozen, okay, I'm clicking. That's the little sticker right there. So protect yourself with our innovative Biozen chip. Amazing technology, simple to apply. Every day we spend more and more time using our tablets, mobile, and smartphones. We are constantly sharing information, networking, and communicating with our friends are business partners or just using these devices for fun. But did you know all these devices emit radiation, which may be harmful for the human body? AKA what they're calling electrosmog. The legally defined specific absorption rate (SAR) only protects our bodies against the influence of high radio frequency radiation. Biozen is the only technology in the world that expands this protection to a biological level. This is possibly by positively changing the low frequency electromagnetic waves that are formed. So you put this on any of your electronic modalities. It's not just limited to your cell phones. You can actually put this on your TVs. You can put this on behind your laptop. It's not going to interrupt your laptop's Wi-Fi or anything like that, but it will block out those negative radiation waves. It will reduce them down to nearly nothing, and thus decreasing your chances of developing some sort of neurological um, cognitive impairment from those waves that are transmitted through our devices on a daily basis. I mean, look at your room right now. You probably have multiple phones on. You have the TV. You have the Wi-Fi box. You have all this electricity around you. And most people say they notice a dramatic difference once they put this little sticker on, um, all their devices. So I'm surprised Andrew Yang haven't found out nothing about this, especially considering that he's the most technical savvy candidate out of the 23 candidates that's running on the Democratic ticket, and out of I think 3 people running on the Republican ticket. For y'all that want to know where y'all can get this, they're now selling it on Amazon. So Amazon, well, I thought they had some, but this is a picture of Amazon. They typically have it for as little as, let me see, it typically ranges like $30 for a pack of 10. Okay, so 29. Oh, for one. So I'm very out of it. So 29 for one. So a little bit pricey, but once again, you can't put a price on your life, except in the cases of this. They have put a $29 price per one on there. Actually a little bit cheaper than what they was before. But I do remember them. Okay, if you get a bundle pack on the actual website, I think it's if you sign up for the membership, you get like 10 for 300. You'll get like 30 for like 700 some dollars. It is a compound discount upon signing up with them. But I'm surprised Andrew Yang haven't, thought about making a bill to increase, this type of technology to reduce the harmful physical effects from, our devices versus just the mental about being on the devices too long. But Apple has since started incorporating this in their own technology as well. They supposed to be in the near future equipping this with the BioZen. But right now they're allowing the home-based business Helu to take this over. But already with the Apple Watch, they've already pretty much copied the Helu, and I knew that was coming. That's why the home-based business didn't last too long. You're expecting people to pay $1,300 for the wristband, which was very good. But now people can get every one of those things, including the EKG monitoring on your Apple Watch for like half the price. And Apple tend to be expensive anyways. Um I think the Apple Watch is the cheapest one is about $800, but they go up there too to like $1,000. So they about the same price, but Apple is just more notable. So they have more notoriety. They combine with all the other phones and all that, but theirs actually combined with Apple and Android, which is something that the Apple Watch cannot do. But once again, since Apple is their funder, they ain't about to outdo the person that funds them. That's almost like, let me see. That's like Mountain Dew trying to compete against Pepsi, and Pepsi is the owner of Mountain Dew. So Biozen is in that same predicament. But overall, companies that come up with technology like this, I think should definitely be funded, and this should be, in everybody's household. And, somebody like Andrew Yang can make that happen by passing grants that can actually, force competition by making all phones require this. Have all phones required to have this sticker on there. That would make the business that created this super rich. Does Apple would be 50 loaded. In addition to the competitors being able to compete, and to the users being a lot more safe, knowing that we're now utilizing technology and not being at much risk anymore. So that is it, y'all. That is everything in a nutshell. I did not necessarily mean to give, some advertisement, but I thought this was definitely needed since we were speaking on health, and this last segment was talking about reducing harm with children using smartphones. So definitely check that out. Check out the biosine. But that is it, y'all, in a nutshell. What are y'all thoughts on this? Like I said, the other points that we skipped were already mentioned in other videos. So that is pretty much it. The next video that I would do, and I think that we're going to close that out. Once again, Andrew, I don't know why you put this little thing down there that wants to pop up. If I wanted to click on you, I would have been did it. I'm going to end this series out with going over, let me see. I think we're going to do immigration. We're going to do a whole segment of his thoughts on immigration. And that is it, because I don't see nothing else standing out to me that I need to specifically mention, because I've already done 6 videos on Andrew Yang, and I pretty much covered all of these points that he's done. Nothing else is sticking out to me that I haven't covered from Andrew Yang. So yeah, we're going to just do the immigration reform, his thoughts on that, and we're going to end out this series. So that is it, y'all. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Feel free to share this with presidential candidate Andrew Yang, and I will see y'all soon with more videos. Mwah.